If you're passionate about wrestling legends, rising superstars, and the moments that reshape entire championship landscapes, you need to subscribe to WWE Express right now, because what we're about to discuss is the kind of storyline that only happens once in a generation. Picture this. Roman Reigns stands in the center of the ring, the undisputed symbol of power and dominance in WWE. His reign has been unshakable, unquestionable. But lately, even he's faced a force that refuses to be tamed. Jacob FATU, the Samoan Werewolf. The man who has systematically dismantled anyone who stood in his path, who has operated as chaos incarnate, answerable to no one. And then comes that moment. Those words that nobody saw coming. "I'm sorry, Roman." 3 syllables. 2 words. An apology that carries the weight of an entire storyline shift. This isn't just about a wrestler saying sorry. This is about the narrative evolution of one of WWE's most electrifying talents recognizing the gravity of his own position. For months, Jacob FATU has been this unstoppable force of nature, this unpredictable element that even the most powerful men in WWE struggle to contain. He's walked through opponents. He's carved his own path. He's represented something raw and untamed in an era where calculated control has dominated the landscape. But somewhere along that journey, something shifted. The recognition set in. The realization that chaos without structure, power without purpose, strength without direction only takes you so far. Roman Reigns represents everything Jacob FATU has lacked in his meteoric rise. Structure, legacy, purpose. The Bloodline isn't just a faction, it's a dynasty. It's a narrative structure that has defined the entire trajectory of WWE storytelling for years. When you align with Roman, you don't just gain an alliance. You gain context. You gain meaning. You become part of something larger than yourself. That's what makes this moment so psychologically rich. Jacob FATU, who has thrived on individuality and unpredictability, recognizes that his power multiplies when it's channeled towards something bigger. Think about the character psychology at play here. FATU is a young talent, still in the early stages of his career narrative, despite his immediate impact. The Samoan wrestling family connection has always been there, simmering beneath the surface. His family lineage, his cultural connection to that Samoan legacy, has been an underlying current throughout his presentation. For someone with that kind of heritage, with that kind of bloodline significance in wrestling history, the idea of being outside the Bloodline faction becomes almost narratively incomplete. It's like he was always meant to find his way there. Roman's acceptance of FATU into the Bloodline says something profound about the current state of that faction. Roman is supremely confident. He's not threatened. He's not desperate. This isn't a recruitment born of weakness or necessity. This is Roman Reigns, at the absolute peak of his dominance, looking at a wild talent and recognizing that he can provide direction to that chaos. He can take that Samoan werewolf energy and channel it into the Bloodline's power structure. It's the ultimate expression of confidence. It's saying, you can bring your intensity, your unpredictability, your raw power, and I can show you how to make it matter on a level you haven't experienced yet. What this backstage moment sets up is fascinating from a narrative standpoint. The Bloodline has always been about family, about loyalty, about a code that supersedes individual ambition. When you have someone like Jacob FATU joining that structure, you're introducing an element that challenges how that code operates. FATU doesn't play by traditional rules. He doesn't operate in the diplomatic framework that other Bloodline members have navigated. He's raw. He's primal. He's dangerous in a way that even the most dominant wrestlers in that faction have had to learn to control. So when he enters the Bloodline, he doesn't just become another member. He becomes a question mark that Roman has to answer. How do you keep that kind of energy focused? How do you harness that power without it consuming everything in its path? The apology becomes the symbolic moment where that tension resolves. Jacob saying sorry isn't weakness. It's strategic clarity. He's recognizing that his individual power, as impressive as it's been, reaches its ceiling without alignment. When you look at the landscape of WWE's top tier, the wrestlers who sustain main event prominence aren't lone wolves. They're part of narratives that extend beyond themselves. They're woven into storylines with consequence, with legacy, with meaning beyond the individual performance. By entering the Bloodline, Jacob positions himself for that kind of longevity. From a booking perspective, this opens up incredible possibilities. You have a Bloodline that's now more formidable, more unpredictable, more dangerous than ever before. The faction that has been the architectural centerpiece of WWE storytelling just added a wild card that changes its entire dynamic. Opponents who thought they understood the Bloodline's framework now have to account for FATU's element. Championship matches involving Bloodline members now carry different stakes because you never know which version of FATU is going to appear. The calculated, focused warrior or the unleashed Samoan werewolf. It also sets up future internal drama that's narratively delicious. What happens when FATU's unpredictability conflicts with Roman's need for control? What happens when the Samoan werewolf's instincts clash with the Bloodline's strategic approach? These aren't questions with immediate answers. They're the kind of dramatic tensions that can sustain stories for months. They're the kind of character contradictions that create compelling television. The bigger picture here is about the evolution of WWE's storytelling ecosystem. We've moved into an era where faction affiliation matters again, where family connections, whether blood or chosen, carry narrative weight, where being inside or outside a power structure fundamentally changes how your story operates. Jacob Fatu joining the Bloodline isn't just about the individual wrestlers involved. It's about the entire framework shifting to accommodate a new element. It's about the Bloodline's narrative continuing to expand and evolve while maintaining its central identity. This moment, this apology, this joining of the faction, it's the kind of storytelling beat that rewards longtime viewers. It's a moment that makes sense narratively while also feeling surprising. It's shocking while simultaneously feeling inevitable in retrospect. That's the hallmark of great wrestling storytelling. When something happens and you think to yourself, of course that's where this story was going, but I didn't see it coming until it happened. As we head toward the next chapter of this storyline, keep your eyes on how Jacob Fatu operates within the Bloodline structure. Watch for the moments where his nature tests the boundaries of faction discipline. Watch for the ways Roman guides and directs that chaotic energy. Watch for the turning points where this alliance either solidifies into something unbreakable or fractures under the weight of conflicting approaches. That's where the real narrative depth lies. That's where this moment of apology leads. This is the kind of storyline complexity that makes WWE's character-driven approach to wrestling so compelling. It's not just about matches and championships. It's about the psychological journeys these wrestlers undertake, the alliances they forge, the hierarchies they navigate, and the ways power structures evolve when new elements enter the equation. Make sure you're subscribed to WWE Express so you don't miss our deeper analysis of how this storyline develops and where the Bloodline's narrative goes from here. We break down the character psychology, the booking implications, and the long-term storytelling possibilities that moments like this create. Join our community of wrestling analysis enthusiasts who understand that professional wrestling is serious narrative storytelling, and subscribe to WWE Express now.